And our next guest speaker comes from Honduras, Ms. Xiomara J. Paredes. She is the director of the Latin American and Caribbean Network of Small Fair Trade Producers, also known as CLAC. CLAC is a network that gathers and represents all fair trade certified small producers and workers' associations. Ms. Paredes will tell us about her views on why sustainable development is a requirement for profitable business. She will address especially the topic of climate change and give us a concrete example on the coffee farmers in Latin America. Welcome, Ms. Paredes.
Thank you. Can you hear me well? Yes? Okay. Yeah. Well, my name is Xiomara. I am from Honduras, a producer country very, very away from here. And for me, it's a big change because the weather is very cold for me. I am from the tropic, so you can understand how I feel. Well, to talk about fair trade is to talk about sustainability. And fair trade is an important contributor to sustainable development goals. And you can think, but why am I so sure about this? Well, several reasons. But I have to say that I have lived all my life in the South. I have 10 years working with fair trade, small producers and workers. Also, my father is a coffee producer, so I can see the change. I have some examples. This is the topic of the presentation. But about fair trade, I have to say that 1.5 million fair trade farmers and workers are living in developing countries. That means in the poorest countries. Fair trade farmers are integrated in global markets, producing cocoa, coffee, sugar, quinoa, that is a cereal, nuts, herbs and spices, flowers, tea, grapes for wine, honey, and other products. Fair trade aims to reduce poverty through sustainable production and trade regulations that serve people, but also to our planet, because fair trade includes standards for economic, social, employment, and also environmental regulations. Fair trade offers to producers a minimum price that protects them of the stock exchange. Also, they have a premium, a social premium, that they can invest in what they decide in a participatory way. The General Assembly of every organization decides how to use the premium. And I think that this allows them to have a better increase, to have an increase of income, but also an improvement of living conditions. Fair trade promotes access to basic needs through collective actions and community investments. For instance, the democratic organization is a principle to be in fair trade. Economic growth in rural areas through employment, spending on local consumption, and also decrease of migration to urban areas, it's also the purpose of fair trade. For instance, I am from Central America, and I can see a lot of young people that is migrating to the United States because they are looking better conditions, because maybe we do not have enough job for them. So fair trade is trying to do a difference there. Fair trade also empower farmers and workers to identify, face, and overcome challenges and growth out of poverty. Fair trade organizations are committed as well to gender equity, face and overcome challenges, child protection and decent living and working conditions, because our small producers and farmers have to avoid child labor, that I have to say that is a common issue in our countries. So our producers can't use child labor, but more than that, they have to assure that we are protecting our children. Environmental sustainability by taking best care of natural resources and reduce the use of energy from unclean sources is other big issue right now for our producers. Some of them have been starting to use the waste of soft products to make clean energy, and that is very good for us. And also, increase of farmers and workers' confidence, self-esteem, control, choice, and active participation in local development is other topic that fair trade is supporting. So, for that reason, I say that fair trade makes the difference, that fair trade builds sustainability. And for all of these criteria that I have mentioned before, fair trade also has an independent entity that verifies and certifies compliance of such criteria. So this institution is called FlowCert, and the auditors are visiting our organizations to see if workers and small producers are complying or not with this. Well, I have to say that we strongly celebrate the establishment of the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. But today, I would like to emphasize on one of them, climate change. This is the number 13 goal. And why do we need to take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts? It's a good question. Well, climate change is affecting to all our producers, no matter if it's a honey producer, a sugar producer, a fruit producer. He or she has a sad history to tell you how is climate change affecting them. But also, what I have seen in the field is that as a result, in most of the cases, the productivity has decreased for climate change effects, but also, thank you. If you want, I can use this. Okay, sorry. I didn't know that I was disturbing, bothering you with a lot of noise. Sorry. Okay, well, what I was saying is that climate change is affecting our producers, and I have seen in the field that the effects of climate change are causing that the productivity has decreased in mostly of the cases, but unfortunately, the cost of production have increased, and that is very bad for our producers. So you can see in these pictures some cases how climate change is affecting our banana producers. So some of them are facing floods, like in the first picture, but also some droughts, for instance, in countries as Peru. And what does mean this? That they have to invest in irrigation systems, that if they have a lot of floods, they have to invest in make drains in order that the water can go. When it's raining, my specialist in production of banana have told me the banana producers only have 72 hours to make the water disappear of the field, because if not, the banana plantations are going to be with a disease that is called black sigatoka, and that is very bad for the banana producers. But also, we have some problems with wind storms. For instance, 1 month ago, in a region called Santa Marta in Colombia, our producers were affected for a windstorm that destroyed the 45% of all the farms of our small producers in this region. And this is very sad because the question is, well, what are going to do nowadays? Well, they have to do a lot of work because they have to clean the area, they have to plant again, they are not going to have bananas, so they are not going to have incomes in next month. In the case of coffee, it's worse because they are not going to have incomes at least in 1 or 2 years if they are affected for climate change. Here I have other pair of examples. The second picture is of a farm that have been affected for the coffee rust leaf. This is a disease for the coffee plantations, and I have to say that climate change is like a factor that contributes to this disease appears in the coffee plants. Why? Because it's like if the increase of the temperature and also the height of humidity are the perfect environment to develop this disease. And if the coffee plantation is older, but also the coffee plant doesn't have a good nutrition as us, this plant is going to be sick. So coffee rose leaf is affecting a lot our our coffee producers. I have this case study. Unfortunately, we are not going to can see a video, but maybe this video is going to be available in the website in order you can see. Because if you see an example and you listen producers, you can understand better what is the problem and why are we so worried about this. But in this case, well, I have to tell that countries from South Mexico until Peru, including Central America, are the countries that are more affected now for the coffee rust leaf. I know an organization that lost the 99% of their harvest. Can you believe it? That is like to lose everything that they have. And the question is, what are we going to do? Well, for me, it's sad the history because I saw them, and I know that some of them, mostly of the producers that are in these organizations, doesn't have more resources. So maybe that means that they are not going to have something to eat next month, that the children are not going to go to the school because they do not have incomes. They have to recover the plants. And that means to wait 3 years or 2 or 3 years, because it depends. So we have to look for options. We have to look for responses. And we have to do something now. Because if we do nothing today, maybe tomorrow we are not going to have coffee. Maybe we are not going to have a food. So we have to take action right now. I think that fair trade can make a difference, but I am also sure that we can do it alone. Our producers can do it by themselves. They need the support of the governments. They need the support of NGOs, of institutions. They need the support of you as consumers, for instance, as well. Some people is asking me, but what can I do? Well, maybe if all of now understand what is the difference between conventional trade and also fair trade, we are going to contribute to support them, because I really believe that the conventional trade only brings poverty. and that we only can make a difference if we think different, if we think and pay a fair price for the producers that are needing this right now. So let's do it together, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Xiomara J. Paredes. And now we have time for questions from the audience.
Okay, if you have questions, go ahead. Yes.
Yes, I have a question. So, what is your government and the companies in Honduras doing about this agenda?
Yeah. Well, I think that in every country, the situation is very different. So, for instance, in Honduras, I know that the government is trying to support with some donors from Taiwan, for instance, but I also know that the support is not enough because, for instance, in Honduras, uh, coffee is the main product that we produce, and we have more than 100,000 of small producers producing coffee. But I do not want to speak about Honduras because I work with a lot of producers in different countries. So I know, for instance, that in Guatemala, in El Salvador, in Nicaragua, governments are trying to support because, like, this is a very important product. They are worried about the economy, the national economy. But I also know that, and it's a sad history, but also in our countries, the producers that are more benefited are like the producers that are or are part of the party that is in the power. So it's not easy.
Any more questions?
Thank you, Natalie Clement from KPMG Sustainability Service. Thank you for a lovely presentation. Just to follow up on Mikko Rauti's question, just one more time, what do the companies that actually buy your products and end up selling them in other countries, how do they support you? How do they collaborate with you? Can you see that in different countries?
Well, that is a good news for us because in the case of study that I didn't read, but it was here, you saw maybe that some companies are supporting some organizations of small producers with pilots projects because we have a big problem. We have the coffee roast leaf now, but we also know what is the solution. We know that we have to have new plants, that there is other coffee varieties that are more resistant to the coffee roast leaf. And we have the case in some countries, in Mexico, in El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Peru, that some companies from the north are supporting them to implement these pilot projects to recover their plantations. So that is something that we can do and we can continue do in future. And especially how to say that I am very committed to work in that. I am looking for allies that can do the same with other organizations because we have a lot. We have 160 coffee organizations in Latin America.
We still have time for one more question. If no more questions are there, then we say thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
And I have to say thank you to you.